How's it going, guys? Colton back at it with another video with a topic that I think a lot of new PC gamers have a hard time grasping, and that's how important resolution is to gaming. Obviously, resolution affects how your game looks, but more importantly, it affects how your game performs. And a lot of people don't even know what resolution they're gaming at, and I'm telling you guys that it's paramount you know what resolution you're gaming at. If you're gaming on an old HD TV, chances are you're playing at 720p. If you're planning on buying a new monitor at around that $150 to $200 price range, you're probably playing at 1080p, and then there's also 1440p 4K, which is like the really high-end stuff. A lot of GPUs can actually handle gaming at 1440p, but at 4K, it's still really tough to do high-end gaming on that. It's still something in its infancy. 1280 by 720 is actually what a lot of the older console games ran at, that being the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. That's why you see all these remasters coming out, like Tomb Raider remastered, Sleeping Dogs remastered. All those games are coming out because now they're bumping the resolution up to 1080p, increasing the frame rate, yada yada yada. And a lot of people see that as a money grab, and I do too to a degree, but let me tell you guys, for a while when I started PC gaming, I was playing on a 720p television. I was just like, all these people talking about 1080p, they can go blow me, 720p looks fine. Finally took the plunge and got a 1080p monitor because I saw everybody was talking about it, like, oh my god, 1080p looks great. I finally bought a 1080p monitor. And yeah, if you're playing 720p and then you get a 1080p monitor, man, you cannot go back. The difference in graphical fidelity is just night and day. Obviously, different resolutions that you play on, it's also going to make the game a lot tougher to play. If you're okay at gaming at 720p, which there's nothing wrong with that, you're going to need a lot less beefier graphics card than gaming at 1080p, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. At 720p, it's a lot less pixels, so your GPU has to do a lot less work, so you'll be fine with something like a GTX 750 Ti or a GTX, even a GTX 960 is going to max out every game at that resolution, no problem, 60 frames per second, and even a 960 is probably overkill at that resolution. So you guys have to know what resolution you're gaming at, because I think a lot of people, they think that they're gaming at 1080p, but they're really not. They only have a 720p monitor. Check what resolution your monitor or TV has. That's paramount. There's also a resolution between 720p and 1080p that's known as 900p. That's kind of like a marriage of the two. Doesn't look as good as 1080p, of course, but looks much, much better than 720p. Nowadays, though, if you buy a new monitor, the majority of monitors are going to come at a 1080p resolution. The most popular monitors from Asus, those are 1080p. But if you buy a 1080p monitor, you can still play games at 720p, 900p, or you can even downscale the game and actually play at even higher resolutions than 1080p, but that's something that doesn't look as good as, say, playing on a 1440p monitor or a 4K monitor. So if you buy a 1080p monitor and you want to game at 720p, that's totally possible. You can game at 720p. Hell, you can even game at like 480p in some games. But most of the times when you play a game at 1080p, it's really, really hard to go back. I myself am gaming on a 1440p monitor, and a lot of games are a struggle to run max settings, 60 frames per second on that. Sometimes I'll just take the hit on the frame rate just because I love higher resolutions now. You just get more pixels on screen and it looks really great, but again, that's a benefit of PC gaming. You can tweak the settings, tweak what resolution you're playing on depending on what monitor you have, and adjust it to get the frame rate you want. But resolution is absolutely paramount to know what kind of graphics card you're buying if you're playing on a 720p monitor, or if you're just planning on gaming at 720p. If you've played at 1080p and 720p, hey, some people might think that, hey, I'll play at 720p and get more performance. That's completely fine. I myself just prefer higher resolutions, but some of you guys might prefer to play at a lower resolution and get higher frame rates. Then you'll be fine with a lower end GPU. But if you are looking to game at 1080p or even 1440p at 60 frames per second, that's going to be really tough. You're going to need a beefy GPU to do that. But resolution makes everything look a lot crisper. Even on emulators like the PlayStation 2 emulator and the Wii emulator, you can actually crank up the internal resolution on old games and make them like HD-like, so they look like the HD counterparts, but in some cases even better. For example, I played Final Fantasy X. I have the PlayStation 3 version, which they remastered from the PlayStation 2 game, and I have it as an ISO on the PCSX2 emulator, and I cranked that thing up to 1440p. Looked way better than the PS3 remaster could even make it look. But just know that you absolutely need to know what resolution you're playing at. If you guys are new to PC gaming, check what monitor you're getting, check what kind of resolution you want to play at. If your buddy has a monitor or a gaming PC setup that has 1080p and 720p, ask him to show you both resolutions and see, do you want to play at 1080p, or are you okay with playing at 720p? Because at that point, games are going to be a breeze to run, and it's going to need a lot less horsepower out of your GPU, and you'll get more frames as well. But trust me guys, 1080p, for me at least, 1080p and 720p night and day. And then, you know, we're talking 1440p, which I game at now, completely different from 1080p and so on and so forth. Maybe one day I'll pick up a 4K monitor here too. Resolution is something that I love. I love playing at higher resolutions, but for some people, you know, they're okay. They're all about performance, not, you know, graphical fidelity, and resolution is something that definitely puts more of a taxing on your GPU, but it makes the game look so much smoother, so much cleaner, and just a lot better. So let me know what you guys think. Are you the kind of gamer that plays at a lower resolution to get more frames, or are you the kind of guy that, like me, that likes to max out all their settings, max out the resolution of their monitor as well, you know, play at the highest resolution their monitor is capable of, and, you know, lose out a little bit on the frames per second, but get that graphical fidelity? I think most of you guys are on the former side. I think I'm one of the guys on the minority that I do like to play games at higher resolutions, max graphical settings, and, you know, take a hit on the frames. I don't know. I love graphics. I'm a graphics whore, and I'm fucking proud. Can't do anything about that. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great day. Peace!